Hi, Sue Wilson back again for today's video, and I'm going to be doing a card that looks a little like the seaside. It's got kind of that white clapperboard look to it, like the houses you see in Norfolk and Suffolk. I'm going to show you how to do this background and then we'll work our way up. And the products we're going to be using today are the Just Right Vintage Labels 3. I've also got the Spellbinders Decorative Labels 1 dies and the Bracket Borders 1. These are beautiful. And the Wonderful Wings, which is the Grand dies from Spellbinder, we're going to be using for our butterfly. And the stamps today will include the Celebrations Label 1 by Just Right Stamps and the Winged Vintage Labels 2 and 3. Right, so let's set these aside and we'll get started. Now, I'm going to work from the background, and what I've done ahead of time is I've prepared a little bit of it so you can see. Just because I like dimension on my cards, I thought it would be really, really nice to do this in strips, which I have scored in 2 places, and I've put a bit of mounting foam on the back. So we're just going to do a little peeling off of the backing paper here, and I've scored lines along here too so you can see where they're ready to go. So I'm just going to pop this into place, and you can keep it nice and straight because you've got the score lines there to work with. And we'll do the last one. You can see how easy that is to create a unique looking background for your cards. So you've got just a really dimensional look to it. So I'm going to set this aside for the moment. We'll come back to that in a second. And let's do a bit of cutting. So I'm grab my plates here. And I've got a border die that we're going to do first. Now I've already taped up the bracket borders with a little bit of wax paper under that because it's very, very detailed. We're going to set that one down. And I'm going to come back and cut a mat for it. And I'll show you how to do that. So let's pop this through. And with those borders, I like to put them lengthwise down my machine so all of the die hits the rollers on the inside there at different areas. So it will roll along that and you'll get more pressure down the center. If you put it this way, you just get a little pass going back and forth. I think this cuts easier this way. So that looks like it's beautiful. Let's go ahead and remove that. And I've got the cutting edge here, and they're both taped on, so do a little bit of untaping, pop that to the side, and let's take this one out. And it's very detailed, so don't go too fast. Even with the wax paper, you can get stuck and tear it. So I've got a lovely detailed border there. We'll set that aside. See how pretty that is? Now, what I want to do is let's glue this into place using a bit of the Cosmic Shimmer glue, and we'll create a mat for it. Just a little bit of glue around there. I want just the top of that to peek out from the edge here. So line that up. That looks nice. Right. So if I were to actually try and guess where the end of that would be, I'd probably get it off a little bit. But this way, I can put my die back into place, line it up with the edge of that, and cut a perfectly formed mat for it. Let's use our removable tape, get that into place there, and we'll cut this one. So bringing back our cutting plate and our base plate to go over the top, run it through the machine. There we go. Now let me just untape this and we'll show you how easy it is to create a border for your card. Look how pretty that is. Perfect match to it. Now I'm a little bit longer on this side. I think what I'll do is just do a little trimming while I have it, and then we'll attach it to our card. There we go. Set that aside. And I think I'll go ahead and put this into place while we're here with a little bit of tape. There it is. some double-sided tape, and we will add this down right on the bottom. That looks pretty. In fact, let's go right like that. Good. Now, I might as well just go ahead and put this on the back, and we'll work our way up. So peeling off the backing paper on my mounting foam. And let's pop that into place. There we go. Okay, so now we have the base of our card sorted. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So the first thing I want to stamp is the clear stamp from the Labels Celebration 1 set from Just Right. And for this, I've decided I'm going to use the blue-violet archival ink pad. Now, this is a permanent ink, and I find it's easy to stamp with things like this. So I'm going to ink up my clear stamp and just give it a good tapping all the way around. And when I do clear stamps, I like to have a little bit of cushion underneath me. I think it makes it easier. Get up and around this. And my counter's a little high, so I'm going to just give a little pressure as I go around. Ordinarily, I have a table a little bit lower for my stamping, so let's just see how we do. A little bit, not quite as nice as I like, so I tell you what, I'm going to trade it out for one I've done earlier on a lower table. So we'll have a really pretty card to show you in the end. And I've got the Decorative Labels 1, really pretty edge on this, and we're going to cut this out. So let's line this up, and we'll tape it into place. And it just fits nicely right inside that. I'll put tape on both sides. And also, while we're cutting this, I've already stamped one of the other pieces that I'm going to layer up on top of it with my sentiment. And I've laid the Vintage Labels 3 over the top and taped it into place. So we'll go ahead and cut it at the same time. Put those with the cutting ridge face down on your cutting plate, the base plate over it, and we'll run it through the grand caliper. Now the detail on that first Labels 1 is very intricate, so let's see if we can get it in one pass. We may have to send it back through. There, beautiful. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a little embossing on this because sometimes that's all it takes, and there's just a little bit where it looks like it might be a little picky. So I'm going to run it through, put my tan mat and my embossing plate over it, and that may just do the trick. It looks good. I think we've done it. This one's got some pieces that we'll have to poke out, so let's see. We'll take it out and see if it needs a little bit of extra help with it. Running my fingernail just right under the edge there. Let's remove that tape. Helps pop it out of the die really easily, and it does have a couple little pieces that we'll just have to poke out. And I'll show you how pretty that die is. That looks good. See the detail on that, it's just lovely. Right, so set this aside and let's do some layering up with our die cuts. Look how beautiful that cut. It's absolutely drawn perfectly to fit that die, which is lovely. You've got a basic shape here, but you can bring in your stamps to add detail to those shapes and really get it to be an interesting look on your cards. So we'll do some foam mounting on the back, and we'll start to layer up. And I'm going to set this one on a diagonal, put that right in the center, because I think that's pretty on a card. And you might look at these dies and think they're squares, but you have to just turn them and twist them every once in a while. You get different shapes from all your dies, and you'd be surprised how that'll change the look of a card. So let's put that right about there, like that. Now, I've gone ahead of time, and I've cut a butterfly, after I've stamped it, and I've layered some self-adhesive sticky sheet on top, and I'm going to do some micro beading. So let's just peel up the edge of this. Let me get my pokey tool. Get that started. There we go. Same color ink on the white card, and I've just layered the adhesive sheet over that once I've done that and cut it out. How pretty is that? I love putting a little bit of texture on butterflies. Now, I'm going to put some pearls in the center of the body there because I think that's quite pretty. So let's take our glue and just put, let's just do 3. Put that there. And I'll use my scissors to grab these. And especially with the micro beads, because they're textural, you'll have to put a little glue down to really hold the pearls into place. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to attach my butterfly in the top with glue dots. Let's give the wings a little bit of shape. There we go. Really, really pretty. Just give them a bend. And to finish this off, we're going to use another glue dot on some seam binding. I've got the royal blue seam binding, and I've added a pretty clear dazzler, medium round dazzler. Put that down in my corner here. Just fluff that out a little bit. This is what I call a messy bow. We just let those loops go wherever they like. And the last thing I'm going to do is add a bit of bling for my butterfly. I think the pearl swirls are so pretty to add as a butterfly trail. So let's do that. Let's just start to peel these back and place them. Now, there's a little bit of a learning curve with these. You have to start and be very slow, so don't rush them. Find out where you want it to end up, and then we'll just let it fall into place. And remember, you've got that slatted background there, so you're going to have it kind of going across those pieces. There we go. And let's take that out, and I'm going to trim this away so I can turn it back around and make sure I've got it sitting the way I want it. There we go. And let's work a little bit more. Just take this last little bit off. Pop that into place. Oops. And I think I can even trim a couple of those off. There we go. So it looks like our pearl swirl are coming from our butterfly, creating a bit of motion on our card. How's that? Now you can add some extra pearls onto the bits and pieces around your label shape, but that's your basic card for you. And I think that's really, really pretty. I think a recipient would love that. Have a little bit of the seaside flavor for your card. I hope you've enjoyed the demo for today.